Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome to the weekend edition of the show. Can't wait to get started and see what today's questions are on the Cabral HouseCalls. Each and every Saturday and Sunday, we answer 6 questions or about 6 questions each day, just based on your time. I try to be respectful, keep the show to about 15 to 20 minutes per day so that hopefully you can tune in each day and learn just something a little bit new about your health, your overall wellness, weight, anti-aging, longevity, and so much more. So without further ado, let's dive into today's questions. Love always seeing what they are. And it looks like the first one here today is from Marilyn. And Marilyn is asking, in listening to your podcast about healing and sealing leaky gut and SIBO, what is the name of the Lactobacillus strain that you start with? I can't quite understand what you said. I've been diagnosed with leaky gut and possible SIBO, but my functional doctor is wanting me to start with probiotics and get upper stomach pain from them. And I get upper stomach pain from them. All right. So what I would do is this. There's no way you should just start with a probiotic. There's just no way. I mean, that doesn't fix anything. And this is not your fault, Marilyn, but I can't recommend enough with something as serious as your health not to work with a practitioner that specializes in the gut, because you don't get rid of any type of bacterial overgrowth or candida overgrowth or any gut issue like H. pylori or parasites just with a probiotic alone. And there's just no single bullet, silver bullet solution. And so what I recommend is I have a lot of free podcasts on digestion. You can find them at stephencabral.com/podcasts. Again, with something as serious as your health, I want you to get the free information first. If you want to crash course in it and get it all in one day, you can go to stephencabral.com/courses. And you can take the one on rebalancing your digestive system. If you want to just say, hey, I don't worry about lab testing, doing any of these things, you can. I mean, you can do the gut bundle. And that's at stephencabral.com/labs. Or if you just want the actual plan to work on rebalancing your gut, that's at stephencabral.com/CBO. Now, you don't have to do or run anything through my company at all. But the labs for the gut bundle will show you what to test. Then you can run them with your doctor. The CBO protocol will answer your question as to what probiotics to start with, because the truth is you shouldn't even start with the probiotic. You should start with removal first, because if there's overgrowth, why are we putting in more bacteria first? Let's remove and use something like Saccharomyces boulardii. Then we begin with the single probiotic, which is the Lactobacillus acidophilus, which acidifies the small intestine, which then does not allow for the overgrowth as we're still doing the removal. But again, it's not just about a probiotic. Probiotic is the outside of the onion, right? It's not the whole picture. So hopefully that was helpful. All right, Sandra's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Love your work and just finished the limited use protocol for high candida. Came up on my big 5. I reintroduced all foods except for eggs. My migraines did not stop and I want them gone. Makes me so hopeful that you say they do have a cure. My rain barrel must have filled back up in 2008 when my painful migraines and hair loss thinning started, and both have continued since. I'm just fully looking into finding your work. For the last 6 months, the migraines are mostly only in the nerves behind my eyes and mainly around the same time as my period, the last 2 to 3 days. For 2 to 3 cycles during the protocols, the migraines came a week after my period. That was the only change. I'm working with a health coach and now focusing on heavy metal detox. And what else should I focus on? Okay, so the big thing is this, that I'm glad you did the CBO, glad you helped with the yeast. Migraines, again, are multifactorial. What is your reason for migraines? We've gone through many times before, higher levels of omega-6, higher level of prostaglandins, higher levels of histamines, food sensitivities, or yours could be hormonal imbalance, right? Because if yours is just the last 2 to 3 days, well, why don't we potentially think it just might be a radical drop in progesterone. Like, would a product like progesterone support help you in order to not get those? Again, I don't know. And the reason why is that no one could tell you what is going to work until we run we could even just, if you wanted to, do the female, the female hormones test, the estrogen and progesterone tube, which is very little expense to it, the day when you're getting a migraine. Like, let's just see, what do your hormones look like that day in your cycle? And if estrogen's like, let's say a 1, and this is like, let's say day 26 of your cycle, and progesterone's a 42, all right, well, your progesterone's half of what it should be, right? It's a low, low number. So that is the way that we figure it out. Or again, it seems like you only get them during a very specific time of your cycle. And that's why I feel like it's hormonal. Especially, I probably believe it's estrogen balance. I would definitely do the 21-day functional medicine detox if you haven't yet, simply because that helps to get the estrogen out of the body. You might want to use a product called estrogen balance as well, and up your cruciferous vegetables like your broccoli and cauliflower and bok choy and Brussels and those types of things that help to remove excess estrogen. So that's where I would start. And again, oftentimes I lean towards foods or histamines or things like that for migraines. But since yours is only during the same exact time at the end of your cycle, it's probably hormonal. And that's what I would focus on. All right, Emily. And by the way, I have to give you my medical disclaimer. On the podcast, I'm not here to provide any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or what's the other one? Medical cures, medical treatment plans, or medical diagnosis. There we go. All right. All the disclaimers have been given. Emily's up next. Hi, Dr. Ball, or hi, Dr. Stephen. I really appreciate your guidance and advice. My just turned 8-year-old son has been critically ill many times. He has brittle asthma, severe mucus, highly allergic to many things, and anaphylactic to antibiotics. Had a healthy pregnancy. He was born just after his due date, all natural birth, breastfed over 12 months. Siblings have no allergies or lung issues. Currently undergoing allergy injections for grass and dust mites and molds and tree pollen. We are 18 months into the treatment, which is set to continue for 3 years. So far, no noticeable improvements. We have a farm in the southeast of South Australia. He enjoys being active outside, searching for advice. Okay, so really important, especially when you live on a farm, that he did not pick up something that's affecting his immune system, such as parasites. Very, very likely living on a farm and being a child to pick up a parasite. So my highest recommendation is the bacteria and parasite stool test. Highest recommendation. And then after that, I would run the candida metabolic and vitamins test because there's a potential he has high levels of mold. Potential. Now, why his immune system and not one of your other children's? It's one of life's great mysteries, right? Well, might have picked up H. pylori, might have picked up that parasite first, which then weakened the immune system, which then allowed mold to take place. Or maybe there is some innate issue with the immune system, being anaphylactic to antibiotics, that might not be working well with him. But that's where I would search first. What is going on with the innate immunity that helps to balance Th1, Th2 immunity and inflammation that's going wrong? So that's where I would start. All right? Hopefully that's helpful. And then, of course, just those good nutrients that a child needs, their omegas, their vitamins, their minerals, their antioxidants, fruits, veggies, all those good things that I'm sure you're already doing. All right. Adele is up next. Hello, I'm a 65-year-old female. I'm 5'2", 104 pounds. I'm very active, walking, lightweight lifting, cycling classes, gym classes, suffer from chronic migraines, debilitating many days. After trying numerous preventative drugs, let's see, which is for dementia patients, it's working fairly well right now. Side effects are dizziness, low energy, head buzzing. I plan to begin hormone replacement therapy again soon. Should I? Other options for postmenopausal issues. I've had annual infusions of Reclast the past 2 summers. Osteoporosis is still the same. Wanted me to take a third infusion. Let's see, you have macular degeneration, neck and back pain, osteoporosis, you're taking D3 at a high dosage, calcium, vitamin K, magnesium, fish oil, eat fairly healthy. Just ordered the 21-day detox, food sensitivity test, complete minerals and metals. Any other recommendations? What is too much vitamin D? Okay, a lot of questions. Happy to help. Too much vitamin D is typically more than 2,000 to 4,000 IUs per day. So I don't typically recommend 10,000 IUs per day. It's a lot. Most people, that 4,000 IUs is not enough for, especially at only 104 pounds, right? If you were like 250 pounds, maybe a different story. But 5'2", 104, no, we want I don't know your vitamin D level, so I actually couldn't make a recommendation, right? If your level is like a 55, well then, you're doing great. But you're taking the calcium, you're taking the magnesium, good. Never take calcium without magnesium, or the calcium pretty much ends up in your arteries. Not a good thing. Vitamin K, you're getting that, great. Your fish oil, fantastic. You're doing well. Okay, so what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at other issues, right? Could be catabolic, overall catabolic nature of the body. Sounds like that, 5 to 104 pounds. Some people are just naturally thinner, right? So what do? Well, we need some strength training. You're using 3 to 5 pound weights. That's not going to be enough in order to be able to signal to the bones to rebuild, stay strong, keep muscle mass on. So I definitely recommend that. Now, of course, do it safely. I'm not telling you to quadruple your weight right away, but I'm saying do it safely. But I want you to keep those bones and muscles strong. Okay, make sure you get enough protein per day. 104 pounds, well, 50, 60 grams of protein would be completely adequate for you, but just make sure you are getting in that much protein per day. 15 grams for breakfast, 20 at lunch, 20 at dinner. That's what, 55 grams of protein per day. That's very, very doable, right? So make sure we're getting that. Make sure you're not hypocaloric. Make sure you're getting enough calories so your body's literally not breaking down, and that you're getting enough micronutrients as well. Daily nutritional support is a great shake. You can choose to use it or not. That'll get you your nutrients for the day. So that's that. What else? We've got your exercise. Make sure you get enough sleep in order to improve the overall body. So again, if you haven't read The Rain Barrel Effect, it's free. It's at StephenCabral.com. I would definitely check that out. What else? And then there's the issue with the migraines. Well, again, for migraines, I am looking at, and I talked about this previous question today, I talked about menopause earlier. I run the big five. I look at what are your omega-6s to omega-3s. I look at what are your estrogen levels to progesterone levels. I look at your overall DHEA. I look at your thyroid. I look at your vitamin D, right? That's the stress hormone, moods, and metabolism. I look at food sensitivities, which I mentioned. I look at your gut flora. I look at your B vitamins. I look at your food sensitivity. So all these things matter because there's no one thing. But the crazy thing is there's not more than like 8 to 12 things that cause migraines. So if we can just whittle through the list of a dozen things, then we can figure out the answer. Now, it might be the 12th thing that we have to go through, but we can still figure it out. And the nice thing is that that is how you help people, right? Process of elimination. Hopefully you get it on the first try because you're working on 2-3 things at the same time, right? And usually, majority of the time. But if not, you continue working the list. And the good thing is then hopefully you can work with your doctor to wean off a lot of these much more potentially detrimental pharmaceuticals like the infusions. Okay. Let's see. Let's get another question today. This one's from Alicia. Dr. Cabral, I need your wisdom again. I started checking my blood sugar and noticed it was always high. My glucose level first thing in the morning is always above 100. It's 105 to 115. I can't get it below 100, no matter how long I go without food. After eating, it's 130 to 180, depending on what I ate. I listened to your older podcast and applied all 3 things you talked about. I eat 3 meals per day, 3 to 4 hours apart. I tried fasted jogging in the morning, and I typically do intermittent fasting. Glucose level is always above 100. I noticed that if I go over 3 hours without food, the glucose level often rises up compared to what it was 2 to 3 hours after a meal. Do you think it's because not eating is causing too much stress on my body? Yes, I do. I'm not typical candidate for diabetes. I'm tall and thin. Vata body type. I'm underweight. My BMI is a 16. Not sure I have to go up in carbs. Does all that mean I'm insulin resistant or that I don't produce enough insulin? Thank you for your help. You're a big fan, Alicia. Okay, so happy to help with this. All right. So low BMI, again, potentially another catabolic structure. Okay, so are you getting enough protein at each meal? I don't know. Blood sugar's going to 130 to 180 after a meal. Let's make sure you're getting enough protein and fiber at a meal. I have a whole podcast on that, literally. So all the questions today could be again, get other perspective as well. StephenCabral.com/podcasts. Type in migraines. I've got lots of shows on migraines. They're all free. I've got lots of shows on high glucose. Those are free as well. And so what I want to do is, personally, Alicia, for you, I don't recommend it to everybody. Go to StephenCabral.com/resources. I would invest for a month, maybe 2 months maximum, for a continuous glucose monitor. Figure out what is it that's going on. What are the biggest spikes? Experiment with different meals. But yes, there's something more than that because you're already doing a great job. And yes, if you go too long without eating, most likely you get that spike. I do believe that this could absolutely be an adrenal issue. So keep in mind, I had this issue. I was basically the same size I am right now. I'm not a candidate for type 2 diabetes either, yet I had it. My blood sugar was a result of my adrenals being overly stressed and then crashed and not being able to regulate. So if there's only one lab you run, Alicia, it's the stress, mood, and metabolism. Like hands down, it's going to tell you your cortisol throughout the day, estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, testosterone. Yes, good. We'll look at that. Look for PCOS, other things like that. Again, non-diagnostic. We'll look at your thyroid, very important for glucose. We'll look at your vitamin D, very important for glucose. And we'll look at your insulin, and we'll look at your hemoglobin A1C. So that's the lab I would run, and then we customize a plan for you. For sure, we need more calories in your body, like no doubt about it. And very well could be a stress factor as to what, because again, doesn't make sense, right? But cortisol is a glucocorticoid, okay? So that means when you get overly stressed and produce too much cortisol, if your body says, hey, we feel we need more energy, it's going to bring more sugar into your bloodstream. All right, so let's start there. All right, we're going to keep it at that for today, and then I'll be answering more questions tomorrow. So come on back. Look forward to sharing those Q&As tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the weekend. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at StephenCabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.